Okay, welcome everyone. This is Miss Higgy coming at you live for another Sunday afternoon where we talk, when Black women gather. We're going to talk about, today we have a very, very special guest. I'm really excited about hearing from her. Her name, I'm going to bring her on Spotlight with me. And Miss Rushia Brown. Hi, Rushia.
Hi, hello everybody. Hello.
Yeah, Rushia and I have a good mutual friend. We've even hung out a time or two together, so this is really special. Unfortunately, this is how we see each other now, right, in this virtual world. But so I thought about, when Black women gather, it's all about having positive conversations and conversations that motivate us to reach for the stars. And I try and think of things that are unusual that we do to inspire the rest of us to do, what we want to do. And Rushia is one of the original players with the WNBA, and I just don't know how often she or I don't know how often we have conversations, particularly with Black women, around basketball. So this is really exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and do an introduction of Rushia, and then she's going to take over and tell us what she wants us to know, how she got into it and all the wonderful things that have come her way as a result of it. And then we're going to have the Q&A where we can all engage her with questions. So thank you everybody for coming, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you, Ms. Rushia. Can't thank you enough. So I'm going to just read her bio real quick. Rushia Brown is a South Carolina native, she has made the world her home. As a professional athlete, she played 17 seasons in basketball, in 6 different countries. The Furman University in South Carolina, I'm on South Carolina. The Furman University and Southern Conference Hall of Famer, was one of the original pioneers of the WNBA, which started in 1997. She spent 6 years with the Cleveland Rockers and her final year with the Charlotte Sting, 10 years internationally, 2 years in Spain, 2 years in France, 4 in Italy, 1 in Greece, 1 in Korea. She speaks 3 languages in addition to English. That's like phenomenal. After retiring, she earned her executive MBA from George Washington University. Her entrepreneurial spirit has led her to be a part of starting several companies, including the Women's Professional Basketball Alumnae, the only organization to assist women who have played professionally in the WNBA or internationally to transition. ServCom is another nonprofit organization that she's been involved with that provides programming that cultivates personal productivity and profitability through preparedness. Hearts and Hands Catering, that's a family business, which I'm wanting to hear about. And your brother, I'm going to give him a plug too. He just opened up an art museum in Charleston, right?
Yes.
Yeah, So that's exciting. So they're just entrepreneurial people. So let's see, and Young Black Entrepreneur Magazine, a quarterly publication that serves as an educational platform encouraging minorities to start their own business. She is a mom to Morgan, which I'm sure she's going to talk about her little Morgan. She has made her mark in various sectors and continues to travel the world, sharing her testimony and inspiring others to use their gifts and talents to pursue their dreams. And today we have the pleasure of having her here to inspire us. So I can't thank you enough, and I'm going to go off screen and hand it over to you. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Helen. And thank you everyone.
Thank you. If everybody can mute so we don't interrupt when she gets started. But go ahead, Rushia, I'm sorry.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Helen, and everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you guys. I'm really excited. I love the opportunity when I get a chance to share my story, good, bad, and indifferent, with people, because it just really, I think, draws me closer and gives me an opportunity to share who I am. As Helen mentioned, I'm a Carolina girl, straight Southern belle, even though I was born in New York, born in the Bronx. My family, my mom and my dad met there. But I was raised in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'll just share that I was the consummate daddy's girl. So I guess, anybody who's had a close relationship with their father understands how important that relationship is. And as a freshman in high school, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And when that happened, I'll share a little bit now, and not that I'm talking about spirituality or, religion, but because I had two extremes in my family. My mom's side of the family was Jehovah's Witnesses. My dad's side of the family was Southern Baptist. So those were two really extreme, ends of the spectrum. But my thought process was I would pray and God would heal my father. That's what I thought about. I'm 12, 13 years old and I want to figure out a way. So I'm helping my mom around the house. I'm trying to do the best that I can. And I want my daddy to get better. And he eventually succumbed to the cancer. And I was heartbroken. And during that time, because I was so upset and angry with everything and everyone, I became the problem child from hell. My poor mom. I always feel bad because I started hanging out with people I didn't need to be hanging out with. I started drinking. I was experimenting with, I did, let's just say I did it all. You name it, I experimented with it. And I was broken and I didn't know how to heal myself, but I wasn't allowing anybody to come in and heal me either. So it got to a point where my best friend's mom, she actually came to me and she was like, Rushia, I love you. Crystal loves you, but I'm not going to be able to let her hang around you if you keep getting in trouble because I can't afford, to lose her to the stuff that you're getting into. And I was tired. I didn't really want to be doing that stuff. And just one night, I just laid on the floor crying. I was like, God, if you have a plan for me, I need for you to show me something. I need for you to give me something that's going to pull me out of this negative space I'm in. And the next morning, the next couple of days, I just started trying to do something different. And that was my introduction to basketball because I've been tall. You guys can't see me, but if I stand up, I'm 6'2". I've been tall all my life. And coaches used to chase me around, the school, be like, hey, tall girl, come here. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to play sports. Never had any interest. But after I lost my father and experienced all the negativity that I had gone through and just being a problem child, I finally said, let me find something productive. And so basketball ended up being that thing for me. So when people say, yeah, basketball saved me, it literally saved me. My experience right before I started playing, I had been, of course, because I told you I tried everything. I was the dope boy's girlfriend. My mom was working out of town and she would leave on Monday morning. And my friends, we would have parties at my house during the week. And so this one particular time, me and my fake ID, because I'm tall, people always thought I was older than I was. So we go to the store. I got the fake ID. He drives me to the store. I go inside to go get us beer and liquor and stuff. And there was this guy inside there and he's trying to talk to me. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, no, I'm good. And he kept following me around the store, And I go up to the register. I pay for everything. I come outside and he follows me outside. Now, mind you, my boyfriend is sitting in the car with his gun tucked in the side of the seat. And the guy is still talking to me. And I was like, yo, look, don't come out here. Just, I'm good. I got a boyfriend. And he calls me a raggedy bitch.
Oh.
When that happens, my boyfriend hears it. And of course, stuff getting ready to happen, but I was able to calm him down. We end up going home and all this stuff is going on. And when we get there, the guy was actually coming to my party because he was the guest of somebody else.
Oh, gosh.
So when he sees him, he points out to his homies. He's like, yo, that's the guy that was messing with Rushia at the store, da, 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 da. And his friend was like, no, wait, that's my homeboy. He didn't know what had happened because, he was at the store. And they beat him to a pulp. Like there was blood on the cars. They stomped his windows out. And of course, our neighbors were calling the police. My mama ain't home. I'm having parties. And I'm supposed to be having people at my house, people in the backyard smoking weed. That's just to give you an example of all the stuff I was into, before I finally figured out a way to turn my life around. But I finally got to playing basketball. And when I embraced it, the people around me saw that I could do something. And it was funny because I still wanted to hang with them, part of me, but they knew I had a better future for myself. They wouldn't let me hang out with them. They was like, no, you make sure you go to practice. Like they started to take care of me and nurture me in that space. And so it was just really ironic that the people that I was getting in trouble with shunned me of sorts, but they had, a vision for me that I was trying to adjust for myself as well. So I started playing basketball, and basketball really did save me. It was the thing that was introduced into my life. It taught me discipline. It taught me how to love myself. It gave me my voice. It just gave me an opportunity to be a figure in the community and be able to help and nurture and grow others. And I have had an amazing career. As Helen shared in my bio, I've played all over the world. I've met some amazing people, enjoyed various cultures, learned the languages, eaten the food, lived in their countries, like all of that stuff. I completely allowed myself to be submerged in their cultures because I wanted to not just be the typical American that expected everybody to, speak English. You do it my way because I'm the American. I wanted to come into their countries and, and learn about them. And I always ended up building great relationships. And over the years, those 17 years that I played, 17 seasons that I played professionally, one of the things that I really, really understood was that the people that I had access to were a result of this exposure. The fact that I gave up that small mindset of just being, in an underserved community, but I was given a chance to go out and see and do more. And so with the greatest doctors, lawyers, athletes, entertainers, I've had exposure to all these people. And one of the things that I learned is just that the people that are most successful are the people that are passionate about what they're doing. And so the time that I spent around them, and as I think back, I even got it from my mom and my dad. But your parents say something, you're like, that's just mama, that's daddy. And then when you hear it from somebody else, you get a different opinion of it. And what I learned was that level of passion is the thing that makes you successful, no matter what realm you're operating in. And so I started to cultivate a curriculum. It's called the Passion Principles, how to be the exception and not the rule. And so that's what I want to share with you guys today. And it really, I'll tell my life story as we go through it, but it's been really important for me. So passion, we all know, is that thing that burns within you. It's not something that somebody's going to have to make you get up and do. You do it on your own. You find time, you make time to do it. Because when you love something, you're passionate about it, you make time to do that thing. So passion is an acronym for me. And so the P is perseverance. Okay. And when we talk about perseverance, we understand that life will throw you curveballs. You're going to have obstacles and challenges and setbacks, and all these things will take place, but you got to figure out how to get back on track. And so many times we feed into the fact that something negative has happened to us that we can't move forward. But your mindset is the thing that really gets you to that next place. Your perseverance means I'm going to push through. If I don't get the job opportunity that I want, I'm going to figure out how to better equip myself so that I'm able to get it the next time. If I'm an athlete and I twist my ankle, I don't quit the game. I get some ice, I tape it up, I see the trainer, I move forward. Like if I'm living in a situation where I don't get the grades I want as far as high school or college, you don't quit school just because you have a bump in the road. You get a tutor, you tell your teacher you need some additional help, whatever the case is. Life is really about understanding that the road's not going to be smooth. Okay, everybody's got a different journey, but the things that you go through are going to indeed strengthen you along the way, but you got to figure out how to get beyond that. And that's where your perseverance is. Okay, so your A is your attitude. Now, attitude is the way you look at things, be it physically, verbally, the way you handle yourself. Your attitude is something that's really important because you essentially get the chance to show people how to treat you based on how you carry yourself. Everybody knows that you can walk into a room and not say one word and people are already judging you based on what you have on, based on how you walk, based on, eye contact. All of these things are really important. And I work with a lot of young women in empowerment workshops and everything. And I really tell them the way you own a room is make sure that you come in with confidence. You're making the eye contact, the proper handshake. But even to go a step further, there are instances in which we don't even know people are watching us. So the way that we carry ourselves really matters because people will support you based on how you carry yourself. And if they like you, if they know you, because I can look at somebody from across the room and see how they're engaging with other people and be like, the vibe ain't right. Their energy's off. I don't like them. Don't know anything about them. I've already made up in my head that this person I don't really like. And it's tough, but there's just something about how we read one another. So we've always got to make sure we're putting our best foot forward and presenting ourselves accordingly, because you never know who's going to be in a position to assist you. You never know who's going to be in a position. You can walk into a business interview and have seen somebody you at the coffee shop that saw you and you just cussed out the lady at Starbucks. How does that carry over? So just make sure that you're always putting yourself in a position where you put your best foot forward. Even when something negative is going on with you, you got to suppress that, move forward, and make sure that you are the person that people want to support. I cannot tell you how many times I've been in positions where my name has come up in rooms that I wasn't even in because of the way I conducted myself in other situations. I'll give an example. I played in the WNBA all these years, and then in 2017, I worked at the NBA league office, and I was doing a transition program for athletes that wanted to transition into the front office for the NBA and WNBA. They offered me an opportunity in New York, and I was like, nope, don't want to live in New York. I'll wait until something else happens. I get a call, my phone rings. It's like, hey, Rushia, this is Bill Laimbeer. And I don't know how many of you are basketball fans, but Bill Laimbeer was one of the original bad boys from the Detroit Pistons. And he was calling me, and I was like, well, I wonder what he wants. So I was like, hey, how you doing, coach? And he's like, listen, Rushia, I am putting together my team. We're moving the team from San Antonio to Las Vegas. I've heard amazing things, and I want you to be a part of my team. I had never played for him, never played against him, never met him, none of that. He was going off of the word of 3 other women that I know and that know me. And just based on what he wanted, they said, you need Rushia on your team. My attitude and the work that I did put me in that position. And so many times we overlook the impact of our attitude on other people because they can put our name into rooms where we aren't even, where we're not. So for me, that attitude is really extremely important. So we've got perseverance, attitude. Your first S is sacrifice. Okay, sacrifice we know is giving up something in order to get something else. But we also talk about the fact that when you're making a sacrifice, you got to know the difference between what I want to do, what in the world, what I want to do, and what I need to do. Did it cut out?
You're fine.
Okay, so what I want to do and what I need to do. And I shared with you guys that I didn't start playing basketball until I was a sophomore because my father passed away when I was a freshman. And then my sophomore year, I started playing sports. So prior to that, I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm from Charleston, so we're going to the beach. We're hanging out in the mall. We're eating pizza, just having a good time. And when I committed myself to playing basketball, and I told my friends, I want to get a scholarship and I want to go to college. Mind you, 10th grade, I got my sophomore, junior, and my senior year to get it together. Had never played a day in my life. And my decision-making had to be different. I couldn't do the things I used to do. I couldn't go the places I used to go. I couldn't hang around the people that I used to hang around. That was my sacrifice. And people would call me and say, hey, Rushia, we going to the movies this weekend. Can you go? And I was like, no, I got a tournament. Why don't y'all come to my game? Rushia, we going to the beach. Can you? No, I got practice. Like there were so many times I had to say no. And it wasn't because I didn't want to do those things, but I had a higher standard for myself now and what I wanted to do. So making those decisions is really important. I had to make sure that I was doing things accordingly, taking care of my body. I literally, because I was not that good, and that's to put it mildly, I wasn't good at all. I was just tall. So I would get up in the morning, go to school early, work out with my coach, shower, get dressed, go to class. Afterwards, work out with my teammates. They would leave the gym. Rushia was still in the gym. I was committed to what I wanted. And all my friends were like, you're crazy. You be in the gym all day, blah, 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 blah. You don't go anywhere. You don't have fun. You don't do anything anymore. But when it came time to go to school, who was the number 2 athlete in the entire state with offers to go to school anywhere I wanted to? Harvard, Duke, North Carolina, like all those, I was, because I made those decisions. I was willing to sacrifice. And that means I'm giving up something on the front end because I know I'm going to get something on the back end if I commit myself. And so many times we put ourselves in positions that we want something, but how bad do you want it? How bad do you really want it? Do your actions right here, right now show that you're committed to getting that thing? And I think we just really have to understand that you got to do something early. And you may not get it. Yep, delayed gratification. It's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be immediate, but you can still put yourself in that position. And even in my professional life, things like that have happened for me. But I learned early the difference between what I want to do and what I need to do. So that was the sacrifice part. Your second S is setting goals. And setting goals is a really big one too. And I know I'll keep saying that about all of them because I think they're all important, just depending on what phase of life you're in. Something may be a little more important, but being able to set a goal, knowing what you want to do, where you want to go, and putting the steps in place to actually get there. It's not just about thinking, wow, I wish, or I hope. I heard Oprah say, hope is not a plan. Okay. When you set your goal, it's you writing it down and you're making a plan to actually get there. Short-term goals, be it 2, 3, 6 weeks, 2, 3, 6 months, to long-term goals, 2, 3, 10 years. Like, what does it look like? And I just moved, so I won't show y'all how disarray my house is right now, but I'm the queen of like sticky notes and inspiring messages. I like to write it down, okay? Because when you put pen to paper, it's no longer just, a little wish. I got to say, Rushia, you said you were going to do this. And that's what my setting goals looks like. And then I follow up. And one of the things I want to share, because so many times we have experiences, we do things, and we're so focused on what's ahead that we don't just acknowledge how far we've come. Okay, if I was standing in front of you guys, I would take 2 or 3 steps forward and know that I'm trying to get 20 steps ahead. I would take 2 or 3 more. And we're so focused on looking at what that ultimate goal is, we don't realize how far we've come. So when we talk about setting goals, those small ones, give yourself a pat on the back. Those achievements are not easy. We talked about how intense things can be and the obstacles and challenges that you get. So you want to make sure you acknowledge the good things, okay? Because it's not, I just got to do this. Be like, hey, I've come a long way. I got a long way to go, but I know I can make those steps. So when I'm setting my goals, I make sure I write it down. I put the proper people in place and make sure that my team is right, because I can't do it by myself and none of us can. So it's really a matter of equipping ourselves properly, having the resources and the mindset in order to be successful. So we have perseverance, attitude, sacrifice, setting goals. Now our I is inner strength. And when we talk about inner strength, it's that confidence, it's that belief in ourselves to make sure that we can push even when nobody else believes in us. And I shared with you guys all the troubles that I had prior to playing sport. So when I got on the court, everybody's like, she was just down on the corner drinking and messing with them boys and doing da-da-da. So people want to throw your past in your face all the time. As I'm trying to develop a new me, people kept saying, but you just did this last week, 3 weeks ago, you were blah, blah, blah. So I had to figure out something deep inside of me that I could hold on to, that I could believe in. And I just challenge everybody here that when you're trying to transition into that new phase where people may not even have access to you, you can't let them pull you down. So your inner strength is about believing in yourself, even when nobody else does. And so I told you guys, I didn't pick up a ball till I was in the 10th grade. I shared that by the time I was a senior, I was the number 2 athlete, the number 2 recruit in the entire state of South Carolina, because I did the work. I had offers from Harvard, Duke, North Carolina. And because I still wasn't over my father's passing and we were very poor, I didn't want to go too far away from home because I was afraid I wouldn't get back to see my family. So I chose a small school. I ended up going to Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina. My mom moved to Columbia and I was there. So that was what I wanted. I accomplished that goal. So we get a phone call at the end of my senior year at Furman. Now I'd won every award. So it was amazing. But when the WNBA came into place, I had been playing overseas and I'm telling everybody, I'm going to the league. I'm playing in the WNBA. And I'm calling my agent. And I was like, T, I gotta be in this league. I want to be a part of this. The NBA is making a commitment to women's basketball. I have got to be there. She's like, Rushia, we're going to work on it. But their whole plan is to highlight the top schools, the top players. You chose Furman. Like I had chosen North Carolina, decommitted and went to Furman. So that could have been a totally different story because they wanted the name. After the 96 Olympics, they took the Olympians and put them on teams. Then they went to the top colleges like Duke, North Carolina, all these places. They took their top athletes and put them on teams. Then they came overseas. Now I'm in my 3rd season playing overseas. I'm playing in France. I'm leading the country in scoring. My team is number one. I was like, for sure, they're coming to get me. That's what this is. And so they come over, the GMs and the coaches, they come over, they're watching the games, and I'm watching girls in my league get selected. And I wasn't given a chance. I wasn't picked. And I was completely blown away. I'm like, I just gave her 30 points last night. How are you going to put her on your team? And I'm killing her every week. I didn't understand. But there was a lot of politics involved. And I was like, okay, so I can keep playing. I'll get better. I'll do more. And nothing. Like, I wasn't selected. So I didn't get an invitation to camp, nothing. But luckily for me, that first year of the WNBA, they allowed for each of the franchises to have open tryouts because they wanted to build the hype and the marketing in those markets so that people would be excited about it. So they let people come try out. And they had 2 spots on each team. So I was living in Atlanta, and me and 3 of my girlfriends drove from Atlanta to Charlotte because there wasn't a team in Atlanta. We drove to Charlotte, all excited. We walk into the gym, 200 women trying out for 2 spots. And I was like, well, it's whatever. Y'all gonna fight over that one because Rushia's about to get her a spot. And so we get in there, it's 200, now 150, 775, all the way down to the final 4. And I'm playing my heart out and I get cut. Now I made it to the final 4 and I had never been cut from anything from the time I picked up a ball. I was absolutely heartbroken. And I tell the story, I get mad all over again. But because I thought I was good enough. And so I go home to my mom, I cry, and she's like, Rushia, listen, what you gonna do? Now, for anybody, none of you have met my mom. Rushia, you might have met my mom, but she's very no nonsense. She's like, okay, so now what? You can't sit here and cry. What are you gonna do? If you think you're good enough to be on this team, what's next? What's your next step? Do you think you're good enough? And I was like, I do. I believe I'm good enough to play in this league. And she was like, okay, so figure it out. I was like, what you want me to do? Like, I can't go beat up the coach because that's who I'm mad at. She's like, no, you've got to figure out something. So luckily for me, the following weekend, Cleveland was having their tryouts. And so I bribed my brother into coming to drive with me to Cleveland and so I can try out. And it's funny because he had just gotten a manager position at this shoe store he was working at. And he asked off and they said, no, we need you. And if you leave, you're going to be fired. My brother chose me. And I was like, oh, Lord, now I got to make it because he ain't got no job. So we drive up to Cleveland and it's the exact same scenario, 200 women trying out for those 2 spots. And we get there, and I remember specifically, it was called the Gun at the time. He sat at half court, but at the last seat, all the way at the bottom of the rafters. And whenever I would get tired, I would look up at him because I believed in me, but I knew he believed in me too. And I was working hard. I was running as hard as I could, jumping as high as I could, just giving everything because I wanted this so bad. So I made it down to the last 4 again. And when they called us in the room, I was so like, oh my God, please, Lord, don't let me get cut again. I don't know what I would have done. But the coach was like, Rushia, you had a great tryout. We're going to invite you to come be a part of the Rockers as a practice player. And I was like, a practice player? What's that? So when you're a practice player, that means we would have practice 2 times a day. I get to do all of that. But when the season starts and the games are in place, I would have to sit in the stands. I wouldn't travel with the team. So I was like literally just somebody to come in and practice. And I was like, that is not what I came up here for, but I'll take it. So I didn't tell her that. I was thinking that this was in my head. I was just excited that any type of offer was being extended. And so I was a practice player and, we had 3.5 weeks of training camp as we were moving towards the season. And every day, I promise you, I could go and home every day and I would cry, call my mom and say, this is the hardest thing I have ever done in my life, playing against the top athletes in the world. And I was like, this is amazing. Like I was blessed to have that opportunity, but I was tormented because every day, it was something. At the end of those 3.5 weeks, coach calls me in the office. She was like, Rushia, you had a great training camp. We're going to take you off of the practice player roster and put you on the main roster. They switched me out with this other young lady. So now I was on the regular team. So excited. I just was like, I got to do everything to make sure I don't blow this. I got to make sure I'm working hard, all this stuff. So 7 games in, she calls me into the office. Now I'm scared. Like, oh Lord, this lady about to cut me. I cannot get cut. I worked so hard. And she was like, listen, Rushia, you've done a great job. We play LA on ESPN on Friday. I'm going to start you. You're the best matchup for Lee. I tell this story and I want to cry every time. She's like, I want to start you because you're the best matchup for Lisa Leslie. First of all, ain't no best matchup for Lisa Leslie. If anybody knows who Lisa Leslie is, that was a setup. However, but just the fact that she recognized how hard I was working. And it goes back to that inner strength. I believed in myself even when other people didn't. And so many times we're going to be in positions where people are going to think we're not good enough. We're not smart enough. You know, you went to the wrong school. You know, you come from the wrong part of town. Your parents aren't this. You know, like there's so many reasons. And I've just learned over the years that people project. Their inability to see me as successful had nothing to do with me. It was about them. They didn't think they could do it. So for heaven's sake, they couldn't imagine that I could do it. But I never bought into that. I believed in myself and I made sure to surround myself with people that believed in me. I brought my biggest fan with me, my brother. He was there. And when I got low, you know, during that weekend, he was there and I could see him, the grit in his face, the scowl in his eyes, you know, in his forehead saying, come on, let's go. You know, and it's just really important that we understand we got to believe it. You know, there's so many things that are absolutely within our reach if we believe. Yeah. Helen can't make me great. My mama can't make me great. And as much as I love my father, there was nothing he could have done for me. Rushia had to do it. But it starts with that self-belief. So any business opportunities, any communal opportunities, anything that you want to do, you got to believe it first because you can't even sell it to get somebody on your team if you don't believe it yourself. So that inner strength just really played a huge, huge part for me. And I was just crazy enough to believe that I could do it. And I've always been that kid with my head in the, you know, clouds, like, no, I could do that. No, that's fine. And I'll talk about my daughter a little bit later, but she's just like that. I look at her and I'll be like, Lord, this child, she's absolutely amazing. So that's your perseverance, attitude, sacrifice, set goals, inner strength, and our O is optimism. So we all know optimism is, you know, the positive over the negative and just your mindset. Because we talked about how in perseverance, you're going to have your challenges and your setbacks and your obstacles. But the way that you get over those things is by turning whatever negative into a positive. And so many times people, when something negative happens to them, they just keep talking about, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Then they call their best friend, you ain't gonna believe what happened to you. Then they call their mama, you ain't gonna believe what happened to you. And the more you feed it, the more it grows. And so many times we just let ourselves get buried under that negativity because we just want to talk about, oh, woe is me. I literally something got 15 minutes, you gotta get over it. Because you can't give it the energy. Now what? Now what? And I'll share with you guys as being an athlete that was recruited by Harvard, Duke, and North Carolina, all these other great schools. I chose Furman, a really small school. It was about the relationships that I had with the coach, the environment of the campus of Furman, loved it. But I was clearly the best athlete on campus. I won Rookie of the Year, Athlete of the Year, MVP, Conference MVP, like everything. I won all the awards my freshman year. So my sophomore year, I was predicted to be a Naismith All-American. So that was my goal. Summer, I went home for 2 weeks and I came right back to school. The soccer team was working out. I'm running with them, getting the lines, getting my legs stronger. If the volleyball team was working out, I'm doing something with them, working on getting my shoulders and my timing together. The football team was out there running the hills. I'm running with them. But I had, you know, that was dual purpose. My boyfriend was on the football team, so I was trying to keep my eyes on him. But all the other things that were going on, I just worked. Now I worked really hard to make sure that I was doing the things that I needed to do. So as we moved into the season, I started off extremely well. So we were moving into our 5th game. I played 4 games. I was averaging like 25 and 12. I'm excited. There's a lot of hype around me and publicity. Leading steals. So during the game, I go to reach for a steal. The 2 girls go for the ball. They fall on my shoulder, dislocate my shoulder, tear my rotator cuff. I'm done for the season. Absolutely mind blowing. All the work that I put in over the summer means nothing now because I can't even finish out my season. I played 4 games and I was done. Heartbroken. I cried for a little bit more than 15. This was before I understood the 15 minutes of before you moved on. But I had to have surgery. I had to walk around with my arm pinned to my body, and I had to do everything with my left hand. I had to write, comb my hair, eat, do my work, everything with my left hand. And after I would do my rehab, I would go to practice to support my teammates. So I started dribbling with my left hand, passing the ball with my left hand, shooting with my left hand. 4.5 months, dribbling, passing, shooting. At the end of that 4.5 months, everything I could do with my right hand, I can now do with my left. You take your negative and turn it into a positive. I could easily just sat there and been upset about the fact, oh my God, I don't have my right hand. I can't play. I can't do anything, and just waited. But something in me said, just work on something else. I ended up being an even better player because of that negative. I had to figure out what the negative was, how to turn that negative into a positive. And so many times, like I mentioned before, we focus so much on the negative that we never develop our positive. And when I did that, I was like, wow, like I never would have even worked on my left hand, honestly, if I had not had my right taken away from me. So sometimes when you're having an experience and things happen and you don't get what you want, don't just focus on the fact that you didn't get that opportunity, you didn't get that job, you didn't get that raise. Focus on why. Focus on how you can make an adjustment and move forward and get better for the next time. And just the mindset is so important. And when I talk about, just optimism, it takes the same energy to have a positive thought as it does to have a negative one. You just got to be strong enough to control your thoughts. Whenever something negative creeps into your head, you got to be like, not today. No, sir, not today, devil. We're not doing it. But you pick and choose. You pick and choose what you allow in your mind and your spirit and your heart. You get to write the story, and it comes from you. And the quote says, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. But which one are you feeding? And I choose to feed the positive. No matter what's going on, I'll always err on the side of positive. I want it to be something good. I can learn something good from every situation. And so that mindset is necessary for success. And you can listen to the stories of so many successful people. They'll tell you so many negative things have happened, but it's the way they responded to that negative. Life is 90%. It's only 10% what happens to you, but 90% how you respond to it. What do you do with that energy after the negative thing happens? And so that's where your optimism comes in. And our last letter N is never give up. Okay. When we talk about never giving up, that's just don't quit. And so many people get frustrated because it takes a little bit longer and it may not happen in the time that you want it to happen in, or it may not happen with whom you wanted it to happen or where you wanted it to happen. You don't think I wanted to be a number 1 draft pick? You don't think I wanted to, be a top, pick on anybody's team? Like none of that happened for me. I could have quit because I wasn't, drafted, or when they came to France and picked those other players and said didn't think I was good enough. I could have stopped then. Or when I got cut by Charlotte, I could have quit. Or when they told me I could just be a practice player in Cleveland. I had tons of opportunities to quit. But I'm here to tell you guys a story now because I didn't. And everybody's journey is going to be different. So I want you ladies and gentlemen to understand that your journey is going to be what you make it. And you can't compare it to somebody else's. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that we have, that comparison. That comparison is absolutely ridiculous. When you compare yourself to somebody else, it's not fair to your gifts. It's not fair to your talents. It's not fair to your journey. Because if God gives you something, that's for you. Yeah. Okay? It's for you. And when I was telling people I wanted to, go to college and get a scholarship, it didn't matter to me that they didn't believe me, because Rushia was the one in the gym in the morning at 6 a.m. They sleep somewhere. They wasn't worried about my work. I did the work. Mm-hmm. So why do I care what you think? Right. I don't. And that's something that I've carried on in my life on and on, because those are the things that are necessary. And just your mental capacity and the willingness to do things that other people won't do. Those are the things that are going to set you apart. That ability is what's going to make sure that you can do something and be amazing at it. And your amazing is the definition for you. My amazing has nothing to do with anybody else's. I'm the eldest of 3 siblings, and we are all amazing, but in very different ways. I'm the athlete. My sister, who's 2 years younger than me, Tanya, is in the military, just about to retire 30 years at the age of 48, one of the highest ranking female officers in the Navy. Amazing. My brother, as Helen brought up earlier, my brother's an amazing artist. He just opened up an art gallery in Charleston, South Carolina. We all have our things, but I can't compare myself to her. Ain't no way I'm getting on nobody's ship going under the water for all that time. And I can't even draw a straight line. So to compare myself to my brother is ridiculous. But at the same time, they can't do what I do either. So it's unfair to each of our gifts if we were to ever compare ourselves to one another. So I just want to challenge you guys too to understand that your gift is yours. Don't ever put yourself in a position to be downgraded because somebody else did it differently than you, or in a shorter period of time than you, or with a different cast as you. Everybody has something that's going to help them to be great, but it's up to you. And just so many times we second guess ourselves. Never give up on yourself. The only time you lose is when you quit. And quitting cannot be an option. No matter how long it takes you, you figure out how to complete your goals. You figure out how to be successful, whatever that means to you. You figure out how to put yourself in a position to impact the lives of the people around you. And those are the things that matter. If we listed 50 different people that have been successful, I guarantee you they can tell a story of when they had an opportunity to quit because it didn't go the way they wanted it to. I can ask each of you that story, and I'm sure somebody would have a story. But we have to understand that our goal and our vision is not even about us. I believe God has given each of us a gift or a talent or an opportunity that makes us special in our own way. And the world won't experience what I have to offer if I quit on myself, because my gift is not even about me. My gift is about impacting this world. And so if you quit on your gift, then we'll never see what it is that you have to offer and how you're going to change this world. How do you do that? Just understand it's never about you. So when you get tired, when you get frustrated, when you get bored, remember why you started. Remember that you have something to give to this world, and it's mandatory that you keep fighting. It's mandatory that you put yourself in a position to make not only yourself, but the people around you better. I've shared so many times that, like if 50 people are in a room, everybody has a different gift. And if we all maximize our gift and our talent, imagine the impact we can have. But if we sit around and look at each other like, I can't do what Helen can do. I don't know, Diana's a better whatever than me. I ain't doing that. I'm gonna say, Helen, how can I serve you? How can I help you? How can I, use my gift to uplift you? Diane, what do you need? Is there any way that I can help you do better? We gotta work together. And when I talk about the passion principles, that's what it is, the exception and not the rule. And the rule is when people do stuff just enough to get by. I don't want that. I'm all about being excellent. And I want the people around me to be excellent. That's why I serve. I want the people around me to have opportunities that they would never have. That's why I make sure my resources are their resources. And it's just really important that we do that for one another. There's enough for everybody. There's enough for everybody. And my love and willingness to share and give, I think really puts me in a position where I can impact lives. I can stand in a position where I'm held accountable and I can do different things for different people and we all win. And I definitely believe there's a way to do good and to do well. So with the passion principles, I share this with every group that I speak with, because I honestly believe that the level of passion that I have, not just for the game, because I thought sports was going to be my gift. In the end, it just gave me the platform to share my testimony. So I'm just appreciative for Helen for reaching out to me and letting me share with you guys today. And I know there is so much that we could talk about. I'm willing to answer questions. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about the WNBA. There's opportunities for talk about BG, Brittany Griner, the level of support that she has not received. So I'm open to any questions or anything that you guys have. Please The floor is now yours.
Wow, that was so inspiring on every level. I've never played any sport ever in my life, but your message goes, like you said, far beyond sports. And I was saying before you got on the call, if I had life to do again, I would play sports, because at some point I dated some guy, he was a coach in basketball or something. What he taught me was that so many life lessons are learned in sports.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so I definitely would have played sports. So I was glad that you let us know that you were a sophomore, because I would imagine that's kind of late in the game for most folks, right?
Very late in the game. That's why it was so hard for people. When I share this story, is people like, what? You didn't pick up a ball till you were in the 10th grade? It's like, yeah, but it's not when you start, it's what you do once you start. And yeah, and I had a sense of urgency about making sure that I did what I needed. I would not have been able to, I just wanted to go to school, and I knew I couldn't go to school if my mom had to pay for it. So for me to go to school, I was going to have to be an athlete that was plucked out of where I was, and I had to make myself stand out. And the only way to do that was to commit myself and do the work.
Yeah.
Helen, I have a question.
Your story is about so many ways that you overcame the obstacle, what would have been an obstacle, and turned it into a positive. Like even going to Furman, and you got Yale and Harvard coming at you, and you're like, no, I want to go to this little school. And yeah, so that was huge. That was huge. It was where you needed to be at that time, right?
And I shared that because that's exactly what I needed. Like I needed a small school. Had I gone to North Carolina, I probably would have been engulfed with how big it was, how much stuff was going on. I had a history of doing stuff I had no business doing. I was exactly where I needed to be. And Furman was what I needed. The coach that I had while I was there, she was my second mother. And it's so funny because she's a little country white lady, and her name's Sherry Carter. And she still is like a huge support. She's my second mother. Like when I had my daughter, she came to see Morgan. Morgan called her Nilla Nana, so it's just fun because the relationships that you build when you make these decisions, everything plays a role in your success. And she was very impactful in my ability to be strong, learn the game, but learn how to be a woman. She taught us how to be young ladies on and off the court.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when you talked about sometimes you're in the room, like you don't even know you're in the room, like you don't even know people are watching you. That's powerful too, because it is important how we show up. Yes.
And so many times, because I'm currently, and that's one of the things is clearly not in my bio, but it's so long. I hate that thing. But I'm the president of the Retired Players. Oh yeah, you did say that. I'm president of the Retired Players Association. And one of the things I share with the players is when you're playing and you walk into a room, it appears as if everybody wants something from you. But you have to learn how to show up to serve, because you ain't gonna always be that star athlete. And so the tendency is when the athletes come in, they cluster in a room together, in a corner, they want to just hang around each other. But I was always the person that would do the community service, go out, talk to the kids, talk to the business leaders and all these other things. And later on down the road, they'd be like, hey, Rushia, what are you doing now? How can I help you? What are you working on? Because I had already formulated that relationship. And a lot of people underestimate the importance of networking when you are that one that they're seeking. Yeah, they were seeking out to me to come speak to their kids, and I would do it because I'll talk to anybody. I love speaking. Yeah. But we built a bond. And then when I was in a position where I want to come do something, it was like, hey, how can we support you? We've got funding. I can support your nonprofit so you can come talk to these kids. So that ability to build the relationships is really important.
Huge. Yeah, so we're going to
can you hear me?
Questions. Who is that that's trying to speak?
Kathy on the phone.
Oh, hi, Kathy on the phone.
Okay, I would like to say a beautiful testimony the young lady had, and would she be available? I'm in Flint, Michigan, and I wonder would she be able to come and speak with our students here if we can provide that?
Absolutely.
So please give me her information.
Yeah,
I'm going to put my email in the chat right now.
I tell you what, I'm on the phone. So I'll give you
yeah. Okay, it's info.
I can give you my number, and you can just call me.
Wait, Kathy, you have my email address because that's how you got on this call. So send me your information, and I will share with you whatever Rushia shares with us.
Okay, very good then.
Thank you.
Hi, this is
Oh,
Gloria.
and tell her that I'm also from Orangeburg, South Carolina. I happen to
Oh,
live in
wow.
Michigan, so I know about South.
Awesome.
Is that Gloria Graves trying to speak?
Yes. It is by divine intervention that I was blessed to hear you, Rushia, today. You're absolutely phenomenal. About 2 sentences into your speech, I ran and grabbed my daughter and I said, you have got to listen to this. I have dropped a few of your pearls of wisdom. I'm trying to make her become the woman that she's supposed to be. But as you said earlier, that kids don't listen to their parents. So hopefully hearing every sentence that you said can impact her life positively. You were exactly everything you said. Your life experience is what she needed to hear. She's a
Awesome.
junior, and at a little crossroads, she has very lofty goals, but from getting from A to B or Z to the goals, we're having a little issue with. But your discussion of never giving up, of turning negatives into positives, I mean, just all of it, having confidence in yourself. This is just better than church. It's just been a blessing for her and I. Niera, do you want to say anything?
I was going to ask, what's her name?
Niera.
Niera, very nice to meet you. Turn the camera over so I can see your face as you speak. There you go. Oh, and you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Look at that smile. You're amazing.
And she has amazing goals, but putting in the work is where we're having the issue. So I hope that this wonderful, beautiful, accomplished woman, you'll take what she said to heed and practice.
And I want to share with you that a lot of times when we are in the midst of it, it's hard. And I will say that you gain confidence from accomplishment. Okay. So when we talked about setting goals, set yourself a small goal. And once you accomplish that, you feel a little bit better. Then you can move to the next one. You feel a little bit better. Then you're feeling a lot better. Those shoulders are back. That head is up because you know you can do it. So everybody knows this saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? You can't do it all at once. So just do a little bit at a time. And the more you do, the better you'll feel, the more confident you are about that next thing. So don't think that you got to do it all at once. Okay. So just try and maintain some type of discipline. I am probably one of the most disorganized people in the world. Okay. I see your mama pointing at you. It's all good because we can make it too. But I am the queen. Let me see if it's right here. It's not here. It's over there by my bed. I'm the queen of a notebook. I want to challenge you to get you a notebook. Write everything down. If you have your to-do list, write it down. That way you can check it off. Be like, I got 3 out of 5 things done today. Because some days I don't get jack done. And I'm like, how is it possible? Because I think I'm pretty amazing. How can I be this great and I still can't focus and get nothing? I got to write it down. So don't beat yourself up when you're not successful, but put yourself in a position to be successful by lining it up. Write it down. Even if I have days where I say, okay, I'm waking up at 8 o'clock, I'm working out at 8:15, I'm eating breakfast at 9 o'clock. And it seems weird, but until you can force yourself to do it without that, start off just writing it down and say, I need to do this today. These are the things I need to do. Okay. So good luck to you.
Thank you. And I too want your contact information. I want you to speak at every organization that I'm a part of.
Oh, well, it's info@Rushia Brown. I put it in I put my email in the chat. So info@RushiaBrown.com.
Continued success. You're awesome.
Thank you so much for jumping on.
So we have some other young folks. I told you about Safa. Safa, can you turn on your camera? She's the young lady I told you she's going to be a future Rushia.
She's going to be a first Safa.
Ah, that's right. So I don't know if her dad is on the call too. Demetrius, is your camera on? I don't know. Demetrius?
Yes, my camera's on.
Okay. Does your baby not want to show her face?
I don't know. It's a teenage girl, so you have to, be patient with teenage girls. So I try to be patient. But Rushia, great testimony. And actually most of the things, really everything that you spoke about, spoke directly to my daughter. Freshman in high school, first year, started varsity, took them to the regionals.
Wow.
And they used to chant, "That's our freshman, that's our freshman." Did excellent. AAU team, played with 16-year-olds at the age of 14. Kind of struggled with that. But I think she may be under a lot of pressure. But some of the things that you spoke about, she's kind of going through. And she's very talented. Actually, in the fall, she'll be going to St. Andrews Episcopal High School. Got a scholarship, academic and athletic scholarship. So, out of $47,000 between her mother and I, we just have to pay $7,000.
Amazing.
Just the potential. And, it's one thing for mom to say something. There's another thing for dad to say something, but to have it come directly from you, it's amazing. And, they see a lot of potential in her. And sometimes it could be a lot of pressure when somebody sees your potential and you're not really clear as a teenager, your potential. She's a lefty too. So her being a lefty, very, very talented. And I don't want to speak too highly of her, even though, she's my daughter. I don't want to be braggadocious, rather. I always speak highly, but not braggadocious. But again, I like to say thank you very much for the words that you shared, because they were very, very relevant.
And I would like to extend my contact, like not just my email. You guys reach out to me and then we can chat. I would love to speak to her directly, because I know that is difficult. Because
Absolutely.
as she moves in and everybody wants her to do something, she has to be locked in on what she wants to do.
Hi,
Absolutely.
I'm here now.
Hey,
Sorry,
how are you?
I'm good. Sorry, my something's wrong with this Zoom thing, so I'm just trying to get everything to work. But hey.
No, that's good. Well, I'm excited.
And you at the bottom of your screen, do you see start video, Safa?
I do, but it's not working for some reason.
All right.
It's okay. We'll look at that pretty little baby picture. But I want to extend the offer for you to reach out to me directly, and we could, Helen has my number. So Helen, will you share my phone number with them as well, so she can reach out to me and we can talk offline? You don't have to talk in front of all these strange people. But but I understand what this journey is like, and the sole purpose, how I even got started in this, is because I wanted to be what I needed when I was younger. And for young ladies like yourself that are in a position to do amazing things on the court and off the court, I want to be a resource. So I want you to be able to reach out to me if there's something you're going through, and if I can help you, I want to do that. If I can connect you with somebody, I want to do that. Because, like if you have opportunities, I don't want you to waste it, but I also don't want you to submit to the pressure of everybody else's expectations. Okay, so we can talk offline. Helen, share my number.
Yeah,
please.
Sure will.
If you want, only if you want to. If you don't want to talk to me,
yes, of
I
course,
might be a crazy stranger too. Look, I could be this crazy stranger too. You might not want to talk to me either.
Welcome.
Thank you, Rushia. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
No, you're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Your name, I didn't get your name. I need to write it down. The presenter.
Rushia Brown, Rushia, last name Brown, Brown.
Okay, thank you kindly.
Absolutely.
So, Rushia, so I think of I wanted to talk about the opportunities that you would not have maybe realized, but for the WNBA. And I know so I didn't realize that you started out international at first and then came back to the States. Mm-hmm. How'd you end up international? Just straight out of college, they recruited you?
Yeah, and it's funny because when I finished from college, there was no WNBA. That's speaking to how old I am. But there was no WNBA yet. And I remember specifically in the spring, my coach, sent a message and they was like, Rushia, coach wants to see you in the office. And I'm like, oh, Lord, it's never good when you get called in the office. So she was like, hey, I got a call from this agent. They say they've been watching you. They've been checking you out. And they want to know if you're interested in playing overseas. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that was an option. So I had the call and we talked about where I could go play. We talked about how much money I can make, the fact that they give you a car, they give you a house, like everything laid out. And I was like, just to play basketball? So I called my mom. I was like, hey, I'm about to leave the country. I'm going to play overseas. She was like, what? And I was like, yes, I'm paid. I'm going to be able to help my family. Because I just wanted a college degree so I could be a social worker. I love working with kids. That's what I wanted to do. But basketball gave me an opportunity to extend my career. And so I did that. And I went overseas and I played in Spain my first year in Las Palmas, Gran Canaria. And then I went to Salamanca. And then I went to France. And then that's when the WNBA started in '97. So I had played internationally 3 years. And that too worked for me, because I was at Furman. If I was coming straight out of Furman, they probably wouldn't have given me a second look. But the fact that, I had played against other professionals when the WNBA started, I was at a level where my skill set, I could compete.
And you kept your skill, and you might not have kept your skills as strong if you weren't in the league.
Absolutely not. I would have been playing with some kids somewhere. It wasn't my goal to play professional basketball. Not at all.
So why, and I don't know if you can answer this or not. So I don't think I really realized that the WNBA was an extension of the NBA. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah. So in 1990,
what's happening with the lack of support? Whether it's paying the players, and I remember I worked for an airline, and they would give us box office tickets, whatever, for the women's game, never for the men's game. So I've seen some WNBA games. So why is that, and how can it be turned around? Because I know those ladies in soccer, they fought FIFA to get what they wanted. What's happening with the WNBA?
So the beginning, David Stern, who was the commissioner for the NBA, got together and they wanted to build a league for the women. And in the beginning, there were 8 teams, and each of the 8 teams were under the NBA teams. So Cleveland Cavs had the Cleveland Rockers. The Charlotte Hornets had the Charlotte Stings. The Houston Rockets had the Houston Comets. All the teams had a women's team. And so the ownership was the same. Like 7, maybe 10 years in, they made it where you don't have to be an NBA team. Yep, the New York Knicks had the Liberty. There were tons of teams, but they made it where you didn't have to. And so over the years, there have been teams in and out, and there's still like 3 or 4 teams from the beginning. But the reality is, it's still a business. And the men make the money that they make because they sell jerseys, their butts and seats, and their TV contracts. And when you look at it side by side, we're 26 years in. And if you look at what the NBA had 26 years in, we're way ahead of where they were. Granted, there's more technology and different things that we're experiencing, but it really is still a business. So nobody's going to just give us money because we should make more. We got to get people to come and watch the games. So it's important that, like you guys go to the game. We talk about supporting women. It can't just be lip service. It's paying for your tickets, not taking the free tickets, paying for your tickets, buying a jersey. And for the people that are in positions, with corporations where they can sponsor and make the financial investment, that's how the money goes up. So it's really important for us to understand that it's not just, hey, the women should make as much as the men.
Right.
Sure, that's good to say. And with the women's soccer, that's the international, like the Olympic teams. So FIFA, when they play in internationally, like when they play for the women's professional soccer league, that money is different. So they're just talking about FIFA. So that's like saying the Olympic team could comparatively make the money that the guys' Olympic teams are making, but not the NBA versus WNBA. So it's 2 totally different things. I absolutely am for. We have a new commissioner who is working. She was able to raise $75 million by putting in some different things in place to help the women get more money. The salary was almost doubled in the last year, but it's continuing to do that and having people willing to invest in the women. And we know the world that we live in, it's still a sexist world. And we're playing a game that's predominantly Black women.
That's what I was going to say.
So not only do they not want to support women, but even Black women. That makes it even more difficult. So it's about us supporting one another. It means everything. So bringing your kids to the game, bringing your families to the game, buying the jerseys. And like I said, the people that are in a position to financially, make investments, that's where it starts. That's how it happens.
Yeah, as you were talking, I shared with the ladies in the email that I sent out that 75% of the players are Black females. So and this is the year of the Black woman. Has there been any push by the WNBA to reach out to Black women's organizations and sororities and things of that nature to like?
So I think not as a league, but individually, there have been various teams that have done things. When I worked in Las Vegas, we did, a Greek night and had the Greeks come out and support, and then they would start coming, because once people come, they love it, and then they want to come back. So it really is about getting that exposure and allowing people to come in and see a game, have that exposure, have an amazing time, and then they'll continue to support. So it really is about getting them in there the first time and then having them, buy their tickets. Buying the tickets is really important because so many times, like you said, they would give y'all tickets so you can go support the women about the butts and seats, but it doesn't impact it if those are free tickets.
Yeah, this was the corporate box. I was in management, so we would
so
take.
Those were already paid for.
Oh yeah, we would take the employees, and but they would never. I'm sure the higher ups. I was in a lower level of management. I'm sure the higher ups went to the guys' games, but they would,
For sure.
So, and
I saw somebody asking in the chat if I have a website. It's RushiaBrown.com. I'll type that in there too.
And I'm going to bring onto screen Janice Armstrong. Janice, do you mind? And we can talk a little bit about, when we talk about support, we need to talk about how do we support. I know that you probably can't talk a whole lot about Ms. Griner, but what can you tell us and how can we support her? And I bring Janice online, another Howard person, because she is a reporter with the Philadelphia Inquirer, and she did a coverage on her. So what can we be doing as a community, as Black women? Like, what's happening with Ms. Griner?
It's sad, and I will say that I am fearful for this situation just because we've already talked about the differences and how people are treated. And Brittany is an amazing woman, but she is a Black gay woman. And I don't
know, Miss Brittany Griner is the WNBA player who is being detained in Russia right now against her will. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, so she is in a situation where she allegedly had some hash oil or something going into the country. And it's just, there are a lot of questions around it and we don't know all the details. And honestly, I can't speak on it because I don't know. All I know is what I've seen on TV too. But what I do know is they don't cover it enough, because if it was LeBron or AD or one of the guys, it would be world-stopping news. But women, and Black women more importantly, have, a lower place. They don't see us the way they see everyone else. So it's important that we all follow. She has a website. Let me see, can I find it? Because there's a petition that's going around. Of course, my battery's dead on this iPad. But there's a petition that's going around for President Biden to step in. It's tough. I wish there was more that I could do, but I think the thing we have to do is continue to talk about it and make sure that we're supporting and signing the petition and requesting and asking people to step in, the powers that be, to do something. Like I haven't heard him say anything about it. Nothing. And it's disheartening because that's somebody's child, wife, like it's hard to just understand and just know, like, just over 100 days, and the first 30, we didn't even know. Like it was just crazy. And then there was like a gag on it. We couldn't talk about it because we were afraid she was being used as a political prisoner and they didn't want to put her in a terrible position. And now it's like, okay, we need to talk about it. Boston had on shirts in the NBA finals the other day, and Marcus Smart was like, hey, we support BG. Everybody support BG. But that's just the beginning. I don't know what the next steps are, but we got to figure out something. The powers that be got to step in. And I just hate that we're in this position because now they're at war and everything is politicized.
Right, absolutely. Janice, tell us what you know. I know you wrote your article. If you could post that for us again, that would be great.
Yes, I'll put it in the chat. It's really unfortunate. It's pretty much what you guys were just saying. We got to lean on our legislators. you know, our individual legislators, put pressure on them. Don't let them forget her. And circulate her name on social media, free Brittany Griner, use that hashtag, and just keep the pressure on. Keep the pressure on. Don't let them forget Brittany, because she could be there for years.
Yes.
She could be there for years. There are enough of us to make enough noise to make something happen. But we got to care, and we got to be engaged, and we got to lean on our elected officials. In the speech, I loved your speech so much. I just lost a tennis match. I was feeling so down. I was sitting here like this. Then I was like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me.
Well, I hope
needed to hear it.
The positive out of it. And thank you so much.
I took the positive out of it, and it was just what I needed to hear. And thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your story about BG. And like we really do, like you said, leaning on our legislatures, but the powers that be, because we can't directly go get Brittany, but we can put pressure on them to figure out a way to make it happen. So we just have to all speak up.
And we can make them like, what would you do if she were white? I said, what we can hold the media and everybody accountable, because what would they do if she were white? We would be hearing more about it. We would barely hear her. I would imagine there are people who don't even know she's being held. But
absolutely.
If it was another player who's a white female player, I think that we'd have a little bit more fervor around all of this. And we need to stop being accepting of the double standard. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I noticed though that I saw something this week, and maybe Janice, you know, that her family is able to write her. Do you know if the general public is able to write her, or don't you know?
You know,
I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the last thing I heard was that they're able to contact her wife, like through, she has a cell phone or something. She's got some type of connection, or not necessarily a cell phone, but she gets phone calls. So they can communicate with her, and she has a lawyer, and they're still working on it. But, you know, in countries like Russia, it's what they say. So
yeah,
we just got to pray for her and make sure, like it was mentioned earlier, do not, like Janice said, we can't let them forget about her.
Yeah, we can't. You know, if we got Black Girl Magic, this is one of those times that we should be exercising it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Miss J.
That's it. Donna said, are you a member of a D9 organization? I am not. I was me playing basketball. And it's so funny because all my friends, I was me. I did not join any sororities. And it's funny because at Furman, initially, there weren't any until like my senior year. And and even then I was like, man, I'm trying to get out of here. I ain't got time for all this. I'm trying to finish up with this stuff and get out. There have been opportunities where I thought about doing a grad chapter, but no. I know my girl, she said, I noticed you wear royal blue a lot. I love that blue is beautiful. One of my really good friends is a Zeta, but I was leaning towards something a little more red.
We understand that, little more red. You didn't say red. We'll still have you in Flint.
That's what I was thinking, Rushia. I wasn't going to call you out on it, but I was thinking for you as well. So anyway, does anybody else have any more questions for Rushia before we let her go? She's been so wonderful to give us her time. I really appreciate it.
No, and I'm scrolling through as you guys get ready, if you have questions, please ask me. I got time. I'm around here chilling this Sunday, so I'm chilling with my family. I ain't got nothing till the basketball game, but well, I got to go feed my child, so I guess I need to do that. But, and we didn't talk about my mortgage, so let me share something, because when I talk about, like, I do a lot of empowerment programs for young ladies and mothers, and so I'm going to reach out to you, Helen, too, because I'm about to launch one called Mommy and Me. And so Gloria was just talking about, God, dog, is it Niera?
Everyone has trouble with it. Niera, yes.
Niera, okay. I'm putting together a program called Mommy and Me about building healthy relationships with our daughters so that they are empowered and understand that I was a whole woman before you, little person. So they need to embrace that too. So there's so much that I think lens to the raising of healthy young girls and not allowing our past traumas to bleed over onto them, being able to break generational curses. And I have a 10-year-old. I just turned 50, May 5th, and my daughter's 10. So I had my daughter at 40 because I had lived my life. I was doing me. And so when I had her, I was like, okay, but it completely changed my life. And she's amazing. And it's just funny because I was raised in a time where children, especially girls, were seen and not heard. Okay. And it took sports for me to find my voice because I never spoke up for myself. I never felt really confident until I started playing sports. And I would encourage everybody to let their kids play sports, but it's not for everybody. An instrument, do something. You got to do something outside of just going to school, I would suggest. But what I've learned in the time that I've spent working with young girls, that they're impacted by so much. And as the years go by and the social media gets stronger, like they are constantly bombarded by negativity and people telling them what they're not. And so we've got to go above and beyond to tell them what they are and to help them develop who they are. And it's funny because I do all these things, and I had custody of my two nieces. They're now 21 and 19, but I had them when they were like 4 and 5. When I first retired, I would do these programs and they had to come to every single one. They got to the point where they could run the programs. They could do the programs themselves. And they are confident. And now I see them today. They're amazing young women, but we have to understand, like, I still have to say, like, I can't make her be who I want her to be. I have to embrace who she wants to be. And as a mother, I have to do the same thing with Morgan. And my mother lives with us. So it's 78, 50, and 10. So that's a lot of stuff in one house, just as far as who we are as women. And so as I'm raising Morgan, I'm raising her to have a voice. I'm raising her to ask questions. She gets on my nerves because she questions everything, but I know that in the long run, that'll definitely, pay off for her. And I'll share a story because I was like, okay, I'm clearly doing something right. At one point, I was organizing camps and clinics for the WNBA players. And so I was working with Ivory Latta. So we went to DC, we're running the camp. And Morgan was like 3.5, not even 4 years old. She had just turned 3 because it was like July and her birthday's in May. And she was like, Mommy, can I play? I was like, yep, but you get your ball and you stay off of the court. So whatever they're doing, you do on the sidelines. So they were doing a drill and the guy told them how to do it. And she would do the same thing. And he'd go down the road. He said, how many did you get? How many you get? How many you get? He didn't ask her. The second time he did it. What you get? What you get? Didn't ask her. The third time, what you get? What you get? And she was like, hey, you didn't ask me what I got. And in that moment, I was so proud because she didn't allow herself to be overlooked. She wasn't afraid to step up and speak out for herself. And so many times our little girls, especially our little brown babies, are overshadowed and don't know how to speak up. So that's one thing I ain't worried about with this one. If anything, somebody gonna call me, like her teachers call me all the time, Morgan always got something to say. And I was like, yeah, I know. So I tell them in the beginning. So my child talks, you're gonna have to figure out how to engage her in class or she's gonna be a problem. Sorry, I don't know what else to tell you. So, but it's really important that we continue to empower our young ladies and show them what strength and courage and empathy and excellence looks like.
Yeah.
That I can do for her.
One of the things that we do here and when Black women gather, it's about having intergenerational conversations because we've gotten away from that. So your household, that was the nuclear household that we knew, but our previous generations knew. So sure to pass on traditions and wisdom, and we've gotten away from that. So, we come together here. We have women as young as 20-something, maybe sometimes younger, but maybe like 23 and sometimes into their 90s. So it's just a good mix of women, and we talk about all kinds of things. And no matter what your experience is or where, you can be a lawyer, you can be a street sweeper. You have the equal voice in this platform. So I would definitely be interested in helping you or just, offering you people from this conversation to with your mommy and me. That's beautiful.
No, it's amazing. I did like a tester, like a beta testing one, and the everybody was like, oh my God, this was amazing, because you get a chance. So many times our daughters only see us as mama.
Right. I
was like, girl, I was a whole professional athlete. Your mama done lived in 6 different countries. I speak several languages. I run 3 different countries. Like, she was like, what? Like, she just, and for me to see her too, I had to see her growing into whoever she wants to be and not force her to be a little Rushia. And I even had to tell my friend, don't call her that, because they'd be like, hey, Lil Rushia, hey, Lil Rushia, hey, Lil Rushia. And she'd look at me and I'd be like, just call her Morgan, please. I knew what they were saying because we look exactly alike. Like, she's the spitting image of me. So they were just speaking physically, but she was like, you want me to be exactly like you? And I was like, oh, no, I don't. I want you to be you. Because following in my footsteps is going to be a hard road to hoe. So I want you to do whatever you want to do. So that way you can carve out your own tracks. But like, those opportunities, I think, are really important for our young girls. And the more we speak to them and encourage them to be them, the better off they will be. They get a chance to share their own stories.
The flip side of the whole mother, we've done quite a few conversations on here, and we all treasure our mothers. We think they walk on water. And then we have women who share a very different experience. So when you do your mommy and me, that's something too. Some women are like, I didn't have that. So that's very real too. And the power of the tongue, if we can just recognize what we say to our kids just has such lasting impact. So yeah.
I'll share another story, and I know I'm a blabberjaws. I can talk forever. But when I first retired and I was in Atlanta, I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. I knew I loved basketball. I knew I loved empowering kids, and I knew I loved working in the community. So I had a girlfriend who was the director of the Boys and Girls Club. So I used to just go down to the Boys and Girls Club a couple times a week. And then I ended up being the girl in the gym, running the gym. She was like, you down here all the time. Just take this job and be down here with these kids for real, because they be looking for you when you're not here. So there was a family of girls. The 18-year-old had a baby at 15. The 16-year-old was pregnant. And then there was a 13-year-old. So naturally, the 13-year-old became my project. So Deidre and I built a very strong relationship. I was helping her with her school stuff. I was trying to get her international studies opportunities. Her mom wouldn't let her go, but she was making progress and she was doing amazing. Her grades got better. Her attitude got better because she had someone pouring into her. And, as the time progressed, I was like, okay, we get ready. Let's talk about schools. Do you want to go to college? What do you want to do? So we're talking about it. 2 weeks after her 15th birthday, she stopped coming. And I was like, no, please. I was so heartbroken. So child, I waited like 2 weeks. Then I went and knocked on the door, and I knocked on her door and I said, hi, my name is Miss Rushia. I'm from the Boys and Girls Club. I hadn't seen Deidre and I just wanted to check on her and see if she was okay. Her mom answers the door with her cigarette and her bonnet. And she was like, you that bitch trying to make my daughter think she better than me. I was so heartbroken. Not for me, but for Deidre. Because all that she was trying to accomplish and everything I was trying to help her with, just imagine me pouring into her all day and she'd go home and that's what she goes home to. And that's how Mommy and Me started, because I can't heal the kid if the mama is struggling. Imagine. I was so excited. And then I met her and I was like, damn, I send Deidre home to her every day like it's my child. She goes home every day. And she's got to get completely reprogrammed when she comes back home, but her mother was broken. So we all have our different things that we've experienced. Some of them are unhealed traumas. Some of them are things that we've dealt with. But we got to figure out how to make sure. I pray somebody. Morgan has seen and done and gone a ton of places. But if anybody got something that will expose her to something I can't expose her to, I welcome it. And a lot of times we just don't understand what these kids are going through. And that's one of my biggest one of my biggest goals is to make sure that you impact the whole family. The mom is incredible. It is impactful. The mother has to be there too. So Deidre, essentially, she was not pregnant You know, she just had to stay home and help do some stuff. Deidre ended up going to college, you know, so things, you know, like she was able to escape that. So she was able to break a generational curse. She was able to do something for herself. Turns out her mom had her first child at 15, you know, so that was that thing. Like, and it was okay because they'd seen it and Deidre didn't. So that is where I started thinking, you can't just heal a child. You got to look at what their family life looks like too. And I thought about it for a long time, and Mommy and Me didn't happen until 2019, but it finally happened. And somebody in here said, you know, you need to write a book. Child, I've been writing this book for like 3 years. I need to finish this book is what I need to do. And I will. And as soon as I do that, I'll be able to share it with you ladies, because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. Just being able to, you know, share my story. Like, I was a mess. I was a hot mess. And all the time that I speak to the kids, they was like, yeah, but you did this. And I was like, yep. And I used to be hiding behind the corner smoking weed. And I used to be very a mess with boy. Like, I was everything that you're not supposed to be. I did all that. Right. But I currently work for an organization where I speak to kids. And the motto is, we're not born winners or losers. We're born choosers. And so whenever I made a decision and I chose to do things differently, my life changed. When I saw myself, you know, the way God saw me, my life changed. I had to understand who I was and whose I was, and my life changed. I didn't see myself the way the world saw me anymore. So I stopped acting a certain way. I told you I stopped going to places I used to go. I stopped doing the things I used to do. I stopped saying the things that I used to say. I had to make a change and commitment to myself to be what God was calling me to be. And so many times we get confused because there's so much noise. There's so much noise. And our kids, even now with social media and internet, Jesus Christ, there's so much. So they're bombarded with negativity. So we got to make sure they're grounded and they understand who they are and whose they are.
Yeah, I can't imagine having children and having to, I don't even know how you balance it out. Like, how do you weed out all the negative between the music and social media and, you know, even TV? When we were kids, if you caught porn and it was soft porn on TV, it was like in the wee hours of the morning on some channel. Now you can turn on some of these channels any time of the day and there it is. So yeah, it's scary.
And it's very scary, but I think we just have to make sure we give our kids the foundation. And I just got this certification for an organization called Purpose Deficit and Disorder. And so we're looking at how the mindset is impacted when the kids don't have purpose. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just so easy to follow the crowd and be the sheep. But it's about helping them understand that they have to build their own environment of positivity. You have to be mindful of what you allow your eyes to see, mindful of your tongue, mindful of your ears, what you hear, mindful of the places you go, like all the things we just talked about. You create your own environment by being specific and intentional about where you go and what you do. So all this stuff matters. So all this stuff gonna be in my book. So it's gonna, it's really important for us to keep moving forward and teaching our kids so they understand how important they are to us.
So 2 things I want to hit on real quick before we let you go. One, I just want to commend you on the way that you started the women's,
WPBA.
Yes, and how you saw the woman who was a former player and she was homeless and you said this can't be. So kudos to you for looking out for, people so that, other women don't end up in that same situation. But also reading, because I've been all over the internet reading about you. And can you, I know Kilpia and Ms. Burgess are both on this call, and they are going to be doing we've been talking about mental health issues, and these ladies have done a series of issues. And I saw where you talked about being, I call myself functionally depressed, and so I definitely can't wait to talk to you. But you were saying that once you came out of the sports, that when you came out and stopped playing basketball, you found yourself in that situation. So can you talk a little bit about that? And
absolutely. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't even know what it was. One, as an athlete, especially as a high performing athlete, your schedule, everything is 8 o'clock this, 9 o'clock this, 10 o'clock this. Like my schedule was made for me. So when I retired, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, who I was supposed to be doing. I didn't know what the heck was supposed to be going on. So I found myself just making up stuff and ask Kari them. I'd be like, hey, what you doing? You want to go to lunch? Hey, what you doing? Want to go to lunch? They was like, hey, we got jobs. We can't go to lunch with you every day because you sitting in the house. So then when my friends wouldn't go to lunch with me, I would just be asleep. I would just go to sleep and wait till they get off work and then go hang out and drink. Like I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing with myself. And a lot of times as a professional athlete, there's so much glitz and glamour that goes with that lifestyle that the drop off is crazy. And even though as women, you know, you have the glam, but you don't have the money that goes with it. So I was in a terrible place because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing with myself. And that's when I started saying, let me find something that I love. I love kids. Like I said, I love basketball. So I found myself down at the Boys and Girls Club. But my mom was like, you need to talk to somebody. And so I ended up going to a therapist, and I was diagnosed with high functioning depression, you know, because I could cover, you know, I was depressed, but I could still be like, hey, let's go do so-and-so. And then I would sleep for 20 hours, you know, so it was just, I had to figure out a way. And still I struggled with it. COVID was tough. And COVID was really hard for me. But COVID was hard for everybody. But for me, because I operate best, my friends be like, why every time I see you here, you doing this? That's how I work. If not, I'm not in a good place. So I do a lot of different things. I love people. So anybody that I can support, I'm like, yep, I'm going to Africa tomorrow. Yep, I'm going to Tennessee the next day. Yep, I'm all over the place because I need to be around people and helping and pouring into people and sharing my story. So with COVID, I was stuck in the house, and I love my mom and my daughter, but it was a lot. And I wasn't able to speak. I wasn't able to do my girls program. I ended up, for my birthday of 2020, I asked for donations online. I told my friends, I'm starting an online program for girls. It's called Boss Girls, Brilliant, Ambitious, Worthy, Strong, and Educated. We did programming where we met once a week. I had my friends, I was like, you know, if we was somewhere we could go out, you would buy me a drink or buy me dinner, send me that money so I can send it, you know, build this girls program out. I ended up raising like $5,000, and it was able to fund the program. So I got the girls t-shirts and stuff and a journal and a cinch sack, and I sent it to them, and we went through it weekly. And we talked about finances, we talked about self-care, we talked about like everything. And it's funny because they thought it was about them, but that helped me just as much as it helped them, because I missed being able to talk to the girls. I missed being able to tell them, you know, it's going to be okay, sis, we're going to figure this out. And I wasn't able to do that. So like that mental health, mental wellness is so important. And I think so many of us are in a place now where we are tormented because we don't know what it looks like or feels like. We just know something ain't right. We know something is off. And especially in our culture, we don't really embrace. It's getting better, but we haven't always embraced getting help and talking to somebody. We got to suck it up, be the strong Black woman. I ain't doing that. Nope. I am strong, but I also need to have somebody to talk to. Yeah. That makes me strong. That's where my strength lies, the ability to share, the ability to give myself and tell people I'm not perfect. I'm not, you know, I'm not anything special. I just kept pushing. I just kept fighting. And I know now more than ever that my journey is important because Morgan watches everything that I do. I can't quit. I can't, even though she's going to be her own person, she's going to learn how to do things because she's going to model after me and the people I have her around. And that's really important. So even in my depression, sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm distant, but I could feel it when I am. So I'll be like, okay, mommy's going for a walk. I got to do something for me. And I've learned too, that taking care of myself is not selfish. Like I can't give from an empty cup. You would not, I laugh. I'm trying to think. Kari one time, she'll tell you, she called me. She was like, what you doing? I'm walking around in the grocery store. What you getting? Nothing. I'm just walking around in the grocery store. I need a minute. I just go walk around the grocery store. I might buy some candy, take Morgan some gum, but I need a minute. And so being able to figure out what it is that makes you feel, you know, back to center, you got to figure out what that is. And for everybody, it's different. But to disregard that that's happening in our lives does so much damage.
Right.
And I did that for a while, but now I'm like, ooh, I need a minute. I'll see y'all later. Okay. I'll be back. And I just have to take care of me first, because there's no way I can take care of the both of them if I'm not well.
Yeah. And when you talk about we talk about the strong Black woman here, and is it an asset or is it a burden? And of course it's both.
It's both.
Yeah, but we don't, to be able to admit, like, all of us aren't strong, and there's a time and a place for everything. And by us putting ourselves out there, it doesn't allow other people to see us as vulnerable, needing, like, no, we're not strong. We are just like every other, we are strong, but we're just like every other woman. We need to be nurtured and allowed to not be okay. And that's the thing that COVID we've done in this circle, I hope, is made sure that we can all, it's okay to say that you're not okay, because many of us are not okay. So kudos to the ladies.
You need a safe space. You need that safe space where you can say that and not feel judged. Exactly. And not feel like somebody's going to think that you're less than, because I need to go talk to somebody. I had lunch with a girl that I played with in the beginning. She played in Charlotte, and we were talking. She was like, Rushia, my healing came from therapy, but my family never thought therapy was good, so I never went. Like, she's from New York. She was like, I didn't go to therapy till I moved down here. You know, she was talking about going to therapy and how important it was for her. And now she's writing a book because she's healed and she can share it, and she knows her trauma is going to help somebody else. And that's the thing that's important, because I spoke about earlier, just like our gifts and our talents are not just for us, the healing of our traumas is not just for us, it's to help somebody else. And so the way that we put ourselves in a position to share our stories and help empower others, that's what this life is supposed to be about, at least for me anyway. And just understanding that all the experiences, good, bad, and indifferent, that I have are not just about Rushia.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it's about. Wow, Rushia, thank you so much. I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to guess that you ladies, I'm going to take Rushia and I off of Spotlight. And if anyone has, where is my Spotlight? I'm trying to remove my Spotlight. Yeah, so we're on I'm looking at us on gallery view. So if anyone wants to just open up and say something, this will be your time now. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yes. No, I can't believe the ladies are quiet today. What's up with this? I don't know. I see somebody, Burnett. Burnett is new with us. She just put up a little heart. So yeah, Rochelle, did you want to say something in our parting moments? Rochelle? Okay, I'm trying to call folks out, but they're not going for it today. All right. So Rushia, thank you so much. I will definitely pass on your information to the ladies who want it, and certainly to Demetrius and Safa. And thank you so much for offering to speak with her privately, because that's what it's about. As women, we got to help our young ladies along, and she's definitely young and impressionable, and someone who's going to be looking up to someone like you. So I'm happy that you offered to do that.
Helen, since you called me out, it's Rochelle. And I will say that this has been excellent for young and older. And, we need to talk about these things. We definitely grow through these experiences. And Rushia, I have a young lady, a gymnast, who I am planning to put you in touch with as well.
Awesome. I welcome the opportunity.
Yeah, I think all of us know young people that this can really.
That's the thing. You can have them. Like, I've shared my email, but I will be doing all types of workshops. So I know a couple of the ladies said something about coming to speak at their schools or doing whatever the case may be, and I'm absolutely cool with that. But somebody just said something about a podcast. I'm actually about to start a podcast. It's called Performance, PHERFORM, Perform. And it's about mental wellness. It's about, it's about everything, just being high achieving and what it looks like to get to that space and all the things around it. So there is a podcast coming. We're already planning for a retreat in October. So I'll keep you ladies posted. It'll be in California. So just look, there's so much that I want to do. I just want to continue to give of myself. And I'll share this one thing. I used to speak all the time and I would just say, hey, Rushia basketball player, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I want to do a TED Talk too. So if anybody can help me with that, I would welcome that because I don't know how to get it done. But I would only talk about my good. And I went to a school and I walked in because when I have to speak, I usually come like an hour early. I want to walk around. I want to feel the energy. I want to just, soothe myself and be comfortable in the space. So I go into the office to go talk to the principal. And there was a young lady, sitting crying. And I was like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. What happened already? That's what I'm thinking in my head, like already? And so I just watched her until the principal came out. Then I talked to him and we just talked about what issues they were experiencing in the schools and what he wanted me to address. And then I asked him, I was like, so what's wrong with the young lady outside? He was like, her dad just passed away like a couple of weeks ago. And like my whole body just went cold because I remember what I felt like when I lost my dad, how I was depressed, like I was suicidal. I even made an attempt I remember that space. And so my heart broke for her. So when I came back out, I sat down and I talked to her and I was like, hey, I told her who I was. And I was like, I heard, you lost your father and I'm so sorry. I would like for you to be my guest when I go speak to the school assembly today. And, she was quiet. She was just like, okay. So she came out, she sat on the front row. And that day was the first day that I shared my story about, my father passing away, being depressed, being suicidal, finding myself and understanding that, God had a plan for me. That little girl sat in the front row and she cried. Want to know what Big Baby did? I cried too. I was sitting there because I hated it. But in that moment when I shared with her, like it was like everything opened up because I didn't understand how empowering it was to share your lows as well as your highs. And that just gave me a totally different connection. And it made me okay with being vulnerable and not feeling like judged because it just really made a difference in her life. And it wasn't about people thinking, oh, got that and all these other opportunities. It was about her saying, like if she made it through, I can too. And so that I think is really important. And so when we talk about that, the vulnerability and being honest, I was all kinds of mess. I was a hot mess. And I just thank God, once again, we're not born winners or losers, we're born choosers. I'm just happy that I was able to make a different decision and do things differently. And I think we all can.
Absolutely. Melinda, I saw you had your hand up. Did you want to speak?
Yes, very quickly. Thank you. Hi, Rushia. Thank you for being
here.
So you had mentioned a few moments ago that you're interested in doing a TED Talk, and I think that that's great. Coincidentally, I'm thinking about doing the same thing. So once Helen shares your email, I'll forward it to you. And this is for everyone in the room. TED Talk has a fellowship where then you'll be able to conduct their fellowship. They'll train you on how to give a successful TED Talk. And then you will be able to actually get on the TED stage.
Oh, wow.
So I will send you the information so that then you and anyone else who's interested in signing up, because I think that you would be a great TED Talk speaker. I mean, for me, based on hearing you today, for me, I'd watch it, I'd listen to it, I'd attend. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I saw Demetrius put a link in there where they say you nominate a speaker, because I've seen that before. But yeah, I definitely am interested in doing that because I do a lot of speaking. I travel and do stuff, and it's based off word of mouth primarily. But I just had a conversation because I'm going to finish this book and I'm going to make sure that I do this because I know it's important. But I would love the opportunity to share on the TED Talk stage.
Remind me to, when you get a minute, Rushia, I have a colleague, a friend that I met when I was in South Africa, and he actually did a TED Talk. So I can put you in touch with him personally. He can tell you how. Yeah. So I'll definitely do that for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You there? We about all about helping each other move to the next.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. So anyway, thank you so much. I look forward to hanging out with you and Kari in Atlanta. I haven't been to Atlanta since God knows when, so that'll be fun. And thank you. If you're in this area, I'm in the Philadelphia area. Definitely look me up. And
sure.
And I am going to follow up on that conversation we had about getting you into the local prisons, because I think that would be, you would love that. I think you ladies know I went a few weeks ago and spoke with women who are incarcerated in New Jersey. Very powerful, very powerful. And they, good information. So if anybody's in a situation where you can reach out to the local penal institutions in your area, our sisters are wanting from us. So I strongly encourage you to do that. So, yeah. So on that note, I'm going to stop the recording. We can hang around for a minute and catch up on what's coming up in the next week or so. And I just can't thank you enough, Rushia, for your time. Were there any, I know you just gave us, if you have any closing thoughts that you want to share with us before we
I just want to thank you, ladies, for allowing me to come in. And it's been an honor and a pleasure. I just honestly believe that we change this world, but we got to do it together. And I mentioned in a little story earlier that if 50 of us are doing something and everybody's moving in their lane, we can impact change. So do your part. Don't worry about what Helen's doing. Don't worry about what Diana's doing. Don't worry about what Gloria's doing. Do your part. Everybody does their individual part, and that's how we impact change. Our gifts are different, and we have an opportunity and the resources to make this world a better place. So please just do your part. I'm going to do mine. And if there's any way that I can serve you, ladies, please reach out. I'm absolutely welcoming the opportunity to come and speak wherever. I know a couple of people asked about it. Count me in. Let's get it on the calendar and figure it out. And I'll be there.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again. So.
Yes. And my child is sending me text messages talking about she's hungry. So I got to go.
Go feed that baby.
I will. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a wonderful Sunday and have a great week.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Let's see. All right. I'm going to stop the recording, everyone. And